All right, Jonathan, I'm so confused. My realtor is telling me to win this house that we're going after, I have to waive my appraisal. But you're telling me I still have to get one for my mortgage. So who's right? I'm so confused.
Let's find out. So great question, Austin. You're trying to buy this house, you're trying to put your best foot forward, win this deal, there's offers, and you want to waive the appraisal. And that's great advice that your realtor's providing you. And so as a borrower, a lot of times when they get under contract, hey, I waived my appraisal, I don't need to order one. Well, the simple answer is yes, you do. A lender has to always have an appraisal because we have to always prove marketability of that property. So that's the biggest thing we want to bring clarity to today, Austin, is that just because you waive the appraisal doesn't mean we don't have to order one.
That's right, because if a borrower were to default on their mortgage, the lender needs to know what they can sell the house for. So just because you're willing to buy a house for $400,000 does not mean that that house is actually worth $400,000.
Yep.
The lender has to make sure, in the event of foreclosure, what can they sell this for to get their money back? So the appraisal is a big deal. When we talk about borrower approval, there's two pieces to every borrower's approval. There's the credit approval, which is the borrower themselves making sure they qualify for the loan.
That's right.
The second piece of that, which is equally as important, is the collateral approval. We have to make sure that the house itself is approved to carry the size loan that's going to be put on it.
Exactly. And so behind us, you see the appraisal waiver form here that you might end up putting on your contract. So Austin, tell us a bit about the appraisal waiver and how that works from the lending piece and just from a purchase transaction side.
Yeah, so the reason appraisal waivers are sexy, can we say that?
Yeah,
they're
absolutely.
sexy.
If I'm a seller, it's sexy to see a buyer submit an offer without an appraisal.
Absolutely, especially in the market we're in right now, seller's market, multiple offers, houses that are listed for $400,000 that are getting 10 offers. Guess what they're not selling for, Jonathan?
Yeah, list price.
They're not selling for $400,000.
Yeah,
and so
above
that
list.
house is going to go up. Well, the house was listed at $400,000 because the listing agent was sure that that's what it would appraise for.
Found comps in the neighborhood that said 400.
Justified 400.
Yeah.
Well, now that house just got pushed up to 425, 430. And so that's great. You're getting these higher offers from a seller's perspective. But if the borrower is going to get an appraisal and that appraisal is still going to come in at 400, that's going to make it tough for the borrower to still close. And so from a seller's perspective, when things are getting bid up, they want to see not only who's offering the highest price, but who's waiving the appraisal. They want to see that you have both the ability and the desire to still buy this house if it's not worth currently $400,000.
Yeah. So the question to ask here is, what happens if you waive your appraisal from a contract standpoint? Our referral partners, our realtors out there can answer this way better than we can, but as lenders, we're going to take a jab at it. The way we look at it is when you're buying a house and getting financing, you have your option period where you can back out and get your earnest money back, right? That initial deposit. Mm-hmm. You have your financing period where if you can't get a loan, you're still in your financing period, you can get your earnest money back. So we call that your earnest money is still soft, right? It hasn't gone hard. And so if someone signs an appraisal waiver, Austin, what happens to their earnest money?
So the appraisal is the last piece in a normal contract when there's a third-party financing addendum, Section 2B, if you want to check it out on the TREC form. But it's saying that even after the financing period has expired, that the borrower is still covered to get their earnest money back should the appraisal come in low, even up to 3 days before closing. And so from a seller's perspective, when you waive that, you're saying my earnest money is hard day one in regard to
The appraisal.
the appraisal.
Right. So if you're past your option period, past your financing period, and you sign that appraisal waiver, and then the appraisal comes in $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 less, and you're like, oh my gosh, I want to back out this house. The appraisal came in low.
You can back out.
You can terminate. You can back out, but now the earnest money goes to the sellers.
That's right.
And so that's kind of what the appraisal waiver means. And it's a tactic, it's a strategy that's super powerful when you're buying a house. So if you're a buyer out there, talk to your referral partner. Talk to your realtor about it. And then the last caveat we want to make, Austin, we do a lot of jumbo loans here, a lot of VA, a lot of FHA, a lot of conventional loans. But what happens if this is a FHA or VA loan, Austin?
Yeah, so there's a special provision in there for FHA or VA loans, any government loan, that you can waive the appraisal. So you can tell you can tell the seller that you'll still move forward as the buyer and purchase the house should the appraisal come in low. However, your earnest money cannot go hard because of a low appraisal if it's a government loan. And so There is some confusion out there about, can you do appraisal waivers on FHA and VA? Yes, but it's more of just a handshake agreement between you and the seller. You're telling them, hey, I'm giving you my word, I'm going to buy this house if it comes in low, but the seller cannot keep your earnest money in that situation should you back out.
Yeah, so big caveat there. You can sign the appraisal waiver like Austin said, but if it's FHA or VA, they can back out still due to the low appraisal, and they can still keep their earnest money. And so that's just something to keep out. Savvy listing agents always pick up on that. But nothing to be fearful of FHA and VA if that person has the assets to cover the gap in that appraisal.
Yeah, so if you're on the listing side of it, you need to just be asking the lender who gave you the pre-qualification, do they have the ability to cover the difference should an appraisal come in low if they're trying to waive the appraisal on an FHA or VA.
And we have a video on what to do if an appraisal comes in low, so go to our YouTube channel. Make sure you check that out. But this was a great one. Just want to bring some clarity real quick on the appraisal waiver piece because it happened a lot last year, and Austin, I think we're going to see a lot of it this year in 2022 as well.
As long as it's a seller's market, you're going to see appraisal waivers. And so the short of it is you can waive the appraisal from a contract standpoint saying, I will buy this house regardless of what the house appraises for. But you cannot waive getting an appraisal if you're getting a loan. So that's the short.
Let's go, man. So hope this one was helpful, guys. We're always here to try to make mortgage simple, and stay tuned for next time.
All right. Adios.